Okay, I think we're live. If the internet's working, hello. Sylvain, I know you're here. We'll wait a couple seconds for, the internet to do its thing. And I have to mute my phone. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being a friend and welcome to our Thanksgiving extravaganza here. And we're having a Golden Girls Thanksgiving today. And we have Jason from Tarot by the Pines and also Rosemary from Good Journeys Tarot. And we all love the Golden Girls Tarot. And so we decided that we're going to thank each other for being friends and also have fun talking about the Golden Girls Tarot. I know a lot of people seem to either really, really like it or not like it. And Sylvain, I know your comment about, which I thought was interesting and we can talk about later, he said that he can't separate the characters from the cards. So I want to know if you guys have experienced that when you've read with this deck or not. Hello, Aquarius Owl. Oh, well, hey, Girl, Tarot Stash is here.
Cool. Yeah, I used this deck this week for my week ahead and daily card pulls on Instagram. And it was interesting because I didn't actually notice who the characters were until I drew today. And I drew a Major Arcana, and when we talk about that card, I'll tell you my thoughts about that. But I felt like the characters that were used in that particular card denoted the meaning for me. Like, it's a card that could have multiple meanings, and so, but because I saw those two characters, I had to go with a specific, meaning.
I've had that experience too, where I feel like knowing that character gave me a certain flavor of the card,
right?
That maybe I wouldn't normally go with, but I haven't really run into the problem of not being able to, because I think that I can understand going, this, and just not being able to stop thinking about Sophia or something when you see this card, but for me, I find that it really has augmented my understanding of the cards in this deck. So what is everyone eating? Do you have some leftover pie or something?
Well, as I said, I barely woke up in time to make coffee. But I do have my peach pie, which I'll probably be in the mood for by the end of the broadcast.
Okay.
And I have some ice cream to put on top of it after I microwave it.
That sounds delicious.
A la mode. That sounds
But
good.
I am in my kitchen, which was an interesting idea that you had brought up in one of our conversations. I've never shot in my kitchen.
Oh, well, that's fun to switch it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Just like the Golden Girls, they always, sit and talk in the kitchen.
Yep, with some cheesecake.
Oh, brought out the big guns there. I have a salted caramel frosted brownie, and only one little M&M made it onto this one, but I had to whip something up. I traveled for Thanksgiving, and so I didn't have leftover pie or anything. So I just made a brownie from the mix, which is just lovely. It counts as a real brownie.
Absolutely.
What are you guys, if you guys are eating any dessert, let us know. We thought we would talk about just the majors in the Golden Girls Tarot. Here's the back. And I don't know if anyone out there has the Golden Girls Tarot, but if you do, let us know in the comments. I'm loving this deck. Jason sent it to me as a surprise, and I love it. Okay. What is your experience with this deck, you guys?
Well, as soon as I heard about it, I knew I had to get it, obviously, because I'm a huge fan. I really enjoy this deck, even though I may be biased. But I think it was really well done, with the characters, the illustrations, the meanings of the cards. It's just a blast to work with. It's just a shame about like I like thicker cardstock, more like sturdier cardstock snob, I guess.
Yeah.
But I love it. I actually have 2 copies of it because I love it so much.
Okay, so you got a second copy. Was that just as a backup or?
So it was as a backup, but then my first copy wasn't going to get here in time. It was like delayed. So I went to a different retailer and I got it within the next couple days after that. But it's a backup deck for sure.
Yeah. I love how every card is illustrated because some of the novelty decks that are more based on themes have just a lot of pips and they didn't really put the effort into illustrating the whole deck. It's just the majors and, but I love how every single card is illustrated and most of the cards have the characters on the card. And so they really bothered to go through and find a way to connect each card to the series, which I did watch last night. Usually I watch Frasier before bed, but I did go and watch some of the Golden Girls. And, of course, I just love those shows. Never get old. Some shows do not stand the test of time, but the Golden Girls really, really do. I just love that show.
Yeah. Aww.
Well, I like the deck. I mean, it's the only pop culture deck I have. And like you said, the only reason that I grabbed it was because, it's something I could relate to, having watched the entire series a few times and having grown up when it was being produced. But I wouldn't say that I use it very often. Like most decks that are clones of the RWS, they are nice to have in my collection and I grab them sometimes. But it's not like a workhorse deck or anything that I would pull on a regular basis. The cardstock is a little bit thin to me, and I feel like the cards are slightly large. Like they're not tarot size, I don't think.
Are they not?
I think they're slightly larger. At least they're wider, maybe.
Yeah, I think they might be wider.
Slightly wider, yeah.
But I did like the box. The box is very sturdy, and it's one of those that I probably wouldn't have in a bag if I didn't have this really great bag already in my possession for it. I love using Ipsy bags for tarot.
Yeah, I do have my Golden Girls bag, so I can't not store my Golden Girls deck in it. That would not work.
Oh, I love it. I'm jealous.
Hello, people who just came in. Long hair, skinny eye toe. Hello. Aquarius Owl is at work eating leftovers. Thanksgiving leftovers, I hope. That would be yummy. Hi, Jens. You've been binge watching the Golden Girls. I'm always binge watching the Golden Girls. It's just on constant binge. You can't watch just one episode. It's like a potato chip.
Exactly.
Well, do you guys want to go through the majors?
Sure.
See what our thoughts are on these cards.
Should we start with the Fool?
Absolutely. That's a good place to start.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously it's an RWS image. And one of the things that I think is interesting about this card, which may have not been intentional, is they used Rose from her cat's costume. They were always involved with the theater and whatnot. Showing a lot of Marseille decks, it's actually a cat instead of a dog in the Fool card. And so I thought that was kind of interesting to me that she was a cat. So now we have a cat and a dog in the card.
Oh, yeah.
I know that she has been told more than once to take a long walk off a short pier. And I feel like it's always, this card kind of makes me laugh because she's just, Rose is just that person. If she walks off this pier, somehow she's going to be saved or rescued, or the universe always just supports her no matter what she does. And she does put herself out there a lot. She likes to, like you said, go on stage and take chances. So I love this card. It is so Rose. I mean, you can't have the Fool as any other character than Rose Nyland.
Yeah, she is very trustworthy, and I just feel like this is definitely the perfect fool.
Hmm.
She's go with the wind. She'll take any risk. She has no fear. Yeah, this is definitely a perfect fool card.
Yeah, she is really the most fearless character, I think, even though sometimes what's preventing her from having fear is just being naive. But
Hmm.
in the end, it always works out, and the universe always has Rose's back.
Exactly.
The next one is the magician, and that is Sophia, who I think is a good magician because, she's always whipping something up in the kitchen or,
Hmm.
casting a spell on someone who
Yeah.
has crossed her.
At first, I was like, Sophia, why would Sophia be the magician? But then I thought about how, she's lived longer than the others, so she's had more experience dealing with everything, which,
Hmm.
would make her, I guess, a better choice for that, because she has had the experience to deal with all things in life, that not necessarily those who are younger might have. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, she definitely knows how to use all of the tools at her disposal.
Hmm.
And she'll use it for good or for evil, depending on how mad she is at you.
Yeah, she can be very manipulative at times. So that's a great reversal for the magician. Which I don't read reversals, but um, I can definitely see that.
Yeah, she is really manipulative sometimes.
But we wouldn't have her any
A
other way.
little. In an innocent way. She
Hmm.
never really tries to hurt anyone.
Oh yeah.
Aquarius Al just pointed out a fun fact, which is that actress was the youngest one in the cast.
Hmm.
Yeah. And they said she just, put her wig on and the glasses on and she just kind of became Sophia.
And then she turned around and she did the same thing in movies. She did "Stop or My Mom Will Shoot" as in the same wig, basically.
Oh.
Really? I didn't know
Hmm.
that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember this actress from anything but The Golden Girls.
Yeah, I think that was pretty much the only thing I remember seeing her in was that Sylvester Stallone movie.
Yeah, she was in a movie with, I think it was called Mannequin, with Kim
Yeah.
Oh, you're
Cattrall.
right. She was, and that's one of my favorite movies. I don't know why I didn't think
So
about that.
good.
I
So good.
love that movie. I remember going to see Mannequin in the theater with my best friend. We were like so
Ah,
excited to go see it.
so classic. So nostalgia.
Yeah. What do you guys think about Blanche as the High Priestess?
I can see it. Um, I feel like this might have been a Dorothy card, but I can definitely see how like she's very intuitive. She goes with her gut, even though sometimes it could be wrong. Um, but I see this more as Dorothy. But beautiful card.
Well, I think one of the things about this choice was it balances the deck a bit as far as the characters because you have um, Rose is the Fool, Sophia is the Magician, and then the next two cards are actually Dorothy and Stan after this one.
Hmm.
So that puts all of the main characters right there in the beginning of the Major Arcana.
I don't know if I love this choice. I think Rose is, even though we just saw her in The Fool, Rose is more High Priestessy to me because she really is in touch with her feelings, and
Mm.
if things don't sit well with her, she has to kind of find out why and work it out and get to solve the problem. And Blanche is sort of almost delusional. Like she has delusions of grandeur about herself. So I don't know how in touch she is with her feelings or her
Mm.
intuition.
You're right. Yeah, I think Rose would be a good high priestess.
Yeah, that was one of the ones that I thought, okay, I can get it, but I would have picked Rose maybe. Now, the next two cards that you mentioned, Rosemary, the Empress and the Emperor as Dorothy and Stan, I was like, I don't know about Stan as an Emperor. I don't know about him as like the leader type. He's probably the least likely person I'd want to take advice from.
Sure. Yeah. But he's the only recognizable character really other than Miles that we could put in a relationship, and so it kind of emphasizes that historic context of the cards of a relationship between the Empress and the Emperor, which I kind of liked.
Yeah, I'm not really feeling Stan either because he's my least favorite character.
Yeah.
But also,
I think he was designed that way.
You're supposed to hate him.
And with like him being the Emperor, I think for me it works because I don't really connect with the Emperor card. Like whenever I get it, I'm like, oh great, because I don't know what it is about the Emperor card. I just can't connect with it. So for this deck specifically, Stan is the perfect Emperor for me.
Yeah, well, usually with the Emperor, we see a person who is in control of their domain, and Stan is a unique and interesting choice because he struggled to have control of things and to, have authority over his own life for the most part. I mean, he really was controlled by the people around him most of the time, even though he tried his little best.
He did. I don't think he really, I think he had messed up ideas about what his role was in the family. He tried to be things that he really wasn't. What about Dorothy as the Empress? I like this choice because I think the Empress is someone who is fierce. She's a mom. She raised her kids. She's a teacher. But she also will, choke a bitch if she needs to.
Yeah, either that or Blanche. I think she might have been a good Empress too. Yeah, but I'm happy that Dorothy got it though.
Yeah, I'm happy that Dorothy got it. Gerald says, I'm on Rosemary's side on the High Priestess as setting all the characters in the first cards of the deck. Yeah, I think that is important, a good intro to the deck. Everyone needs to be represented in those first important cards.
Good morning, Wandering Mountain.
Hey, Jamie. I really think, even though Stan was a bigger character, I think Big Daddy is just the quintessential father figure. He's someone you wanted to follow, and he could lead people and charm people, and someone you could put your trust in.
That would have been a good one.
I wouldn't want to mess with Amy about Empress. She would choke a bitch 2 pounds. Okay, I am a Dorothy. I've already said this. I think I am a Dorothy at heart because, I'm tall. I'm kind of a cranky teacher. I zing a lot of zingers. I have like RBF, Jason, I know you're a Rose, right?
Yeah, I'm a Rose. I can be a little bit of a Sophia, but definitely a Rose.
And Rosemary, you won an award for being Sophia, so.
Yes. My friend was Blanche, and I only won because I made a really great joke about her, like Sophia would on the show. But I'm not going to go there right now because it's not all appropriate.
Oh, that's funny. So what about Sophia as the Hierophant? I kind of like that. She's all about the old ways and, tradition. And Picture it.
The fact
Yeah.
that she's probably the one that was most religious per se. I mean, you know, Blanche identified as Baptist, but she wasn't really a good Baptist. You know, but you know, she actually went to mass, and you know, she interacted with the clergy on occasion, and
Mhm.
you know, and there's that whole Italian Sicilian thing going on too with her that just reminds you of the Catholic Church to me, really. So I kind of
And
like
she's
that.
another, yeah, she's another person that they would just go to if they want to know the ways of the world.
Mhm.
What do I do? And she could always give them good advice and connect it to something from the past.
Yeah. And in one episode, she was a nun. So, like, I feel like she is perfect for the Hierophant.
Yeah, she was an excellent choice. Gerald wants to know the story, Rosemary.
We had an event to raise money for an LGBT cause, and everybody was invited. It was called, it may have been called Thank You for Being a Friend. And so one of the things was you could come in costume, and then in the middle of it, they had a costume contest to see who was the best one. And um, so my friend was Blanche. She was in a red dress. She was standing beside me in the line, and she introduced herself before me. And she did this whole dance showing her ass and everything. And they got to me and asked me to introduce myself and what I was bringing. And I said, it was hosted by drag queens. And I said, I'm Sophia, and I think the slut brought enough for both of us. And everybody went crazy, you know, and because it was totally something Sophia would have said about her at some point. And so, yeah, so I won, and she got second for showing her ass. So, yeah.
Didn't you win a cheesecake?
Yes, I won a cheesecake.
Perfect.
And we shared it with our friends who had went with us to the event. We were the only ones who went in costume, though. From our group. So,
Oh, that's cool.
Hi, Manuela.
And speaking of cheesecake, I'm gonna have some.
Now I need a bite of this brownie.
Well, while you're eating, the Lovers is the next card, and this is the card that came up this morning that I was talking about. When I was doing my daily card poll for my Instagram feed, it came up. And for me, when I saw it, I immediately thought that this is about choice, even though that's something that can be related to this card. A lot of people like to relate this card to romance, to relationships, and that type of thing. And for me, because it was these two characters who were divorced and who off again, on again, tried to think they might try to make it work again, it immediately came up to me as, okay, today you're going to have to make a decision about something, a choice. And I think that's part of relationships, is making choice. But if it had been any other two characters, like if this had been Miles and Rose, I totally would have seen it as a romantic thing versus a choice thing.
Well, the Lovers is a 6, and so it's all about, balance and harmony. And I think Dorothy and Stan really had to, even when they weren't trying to get back together, they still had to have events with their kids, and they had to learn to appreciate each other and get along with each other. And they both had to learn to kind of own their own contribution to the relationship. And so I think it is a good card of balance and having to reconcile different things into your life, different experiences.
If I could point this out, the angel is Sophia, which is interesting. Sophia always tried to have input on their relationship, but she's also the angel in another card that we'll see in a little while, which I thought is a cool connection relating the cards.
I just pulled that card out because Sophia is the angel in a lot of these cards. And I think Sophia also tried to temper Dorothy and Stan's arguing, because she sometimes sided with Stan and sometimes thought Stan was a jerk. And I think she knew that they could be good friends, but probably he's not husband material.
Yeah.
Now the chariot's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It's got the one little character who was in the show, like, what, once or twice?
This card reminds me of Patrick Swayze and
Yeah.
Dirty Dancing.
It's like, which Chippendales dancer will Blanche follow? I love that because Blanche just has this kind of energy that she's just gonna full steam ahead, right?
Uh-huh. Full steam ahead.
Now the strength card was another one that I didn't know if I liked this choice.
Yeah, it's a little.
This is one I
generic
could
for
have
me.
easily seen Blanche in, only because it would have drawn out the thoughtiness in this card versus being just a lion with a woman.
I saw Rose in this card too, because I feel like Rose is such a gentle spirit, but that gentleness is something that really gets her far, because even people think that they can push her around, but really they can't. Really, she always ends up coming out on top.
Yeah, I actually can see like any of the girls in this card. For me personally, I would have preferred Dorothy, because she's been through so much, and at the very end of the last season, she gets married. I believe, if I might be wrong on that, but she gets married. She's completing a cycle. So I feel like she's been through so much, and then she's finally getting what she wants, which is a great husband. But I think the husband was Stan at the end. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments.
The husband was what?
The husband was Stan, I believe, at the very end.
No, it was Blanche's uncle or cousin or something.
Oh,
Remember? Yeah,
Leslie
remember
Nielsen.
they pretended to date to bother Blanche, and then they
That's
really
right.
ended up. Yeah,
That's right.
it was Leslie Nielsen.
There we go.
Oh, we lost
Classic.
Rosemary. I don't know where she went.
Yeah, maybe
Off
she'll.
into the ether somewhere.
Yeah, maybe she'll pop back in.
I can see Sophia as this too, because to me the strength card is about taming that wild part of yourself, and also about trusting and letting go. And I think Sophia really has learned to trust life. And so I can see her in this card too.
Yeah, for sure.
Could have been anyone, like you said.
Yeah. Did you want to go to the next card, or do you want to wait for Rosemary?
Well, let's look at the comments. Hi, Manuela. I'm sure it's late where you are, or at least dinner time. Jamie's here. I'm interested to know how many people in the chat have the Golden Girls deck, and how many people watch the Golden Girls.
Yeah,
which I think should be everyone. It should be required viewing.
Yeah, you have to at least know who they are.
There she is.
And you're okay in my book.
Yes.
You gotta love Wi-Fi.
Rosemary.
So hopefully this works. I'm on my mobile hotspot now because my it just kind of drops periodically, like once a week. It just says, "Oh, now is a good time," while you're in the middle of a broadcast.
Oh.
What better time? We did wait. We haven't gone on to the Hermit yet because we wanted.
Oh, that's sweet.
So we have Rose as the Hermit.
Love it. I love it. I think this is from the episode where she's going out looking for UFOs.
Mm-hmm.
But I just love the Hermit card in general, and I can see Rose, or maybe even Sophia being as the Hermit, because she's such a rebel, a lone wolf, But I really like this card, and I can connect with the Hermit in general.
Yeah, I
feel
really like that.
Rose.
Go ahead, Rosemary.
I kind of feel like Rose is the only one in the group who maybe is okay being alone with herself. You've got Blanche, who's always in a relationship or looking for a relationship, and Sophia's always out doing her volunteer work and everything. And I don't know, I just kind of felt like she's one of those who could be on her own for a little while. Although we do know from one episode she didn't want to live alone. Because she tried it. Well, she tried thinking she was living with different roommates, and it ended up being alone. So
I think she really appreciates herself, though. Rose, I don't think there were a couple episodes where she was really hard on herself, but she's just open to ideas that other people aren't open to, like going out to wait for the UFO. She's not afraid to discover new things and
exactly
entertain that idea.
Yeah.
Manuela, I'm so sorry. The stomach flu is the worst, especially when your little one has it.
She spent most of the show as a counselor, and so she was always shedding light on other people's problems, I suppose, which is another way to look at the Hermit.
Yes. Jen says, I don't have it, but kind of want it now. It's the best. You have to get it, Jens.
Yay to enabling.
So the next card is probably one that I'm most disappointed with.
Yeah. It's like they
it could
didn't
be
have
from
an idea,
any deck on the planet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it looks like the wheel is like a cheesecake cut up in slices.
Oh.
That's the only thing I caught, but it's so generic. It's very generic.
Of course, any wheel would look that way to me.
Yeah, I wish they would have made it an obvious cheesecake, because then you could say, as they went through all, the wheel turned, they always kind of came back together and, dealt with all of these changes.
I would have liked that.
It had been a literal cheesecake, and it would have made way more sense to me.
Yeah, and the same illustrator who did this deck also did the Friends deck, and I believe this is pretty much the exact card. Let us know in the comments if y'all have the Friends deck. I don't have it because I'm more of a Golden Girls fan, obviously. But the same illustrator did the Friends deck that they did this.
Yeah, I didn't get it. They didn't even have.
So,
there's almost no reference to the show.
Tara Stash was saying the cheesecake was a stretch, but if it had been the cheesecake sliced into 8 slices, with this image overlaid on it, that would have made it connect to the Golden Girls at least. Versus say it just being the wheel that could have been in any deck on the planet.
Yeah. Absolutely. Sylvain does not have the deck, but does have the Clue Golden Girls edition.
I didn't know they did that. I knew that Monopoly did all kinds of editions.
Like it was Blanche on the lanai with the candlestick or something.
Okay. Yeah, I knew Monopoly had all different versions because I've got a couple of those, but I didn't know Clue did that. Clue would be a good game to have.
Gerald has the Friends deck, so he's going to let us know what the Wheel of Fortune looks like in that deck. Yay. Yeah, that was a bummer kind of card because I didn't get it, so it kind of shocked me when I saw it. How about Justice?
I kind of expected this to be Dorothy because she was associated with the air suit in the deck, and so I tend to draw correspondence between Justice and the Swords cards because it is one half of this idea.
I can see that, and I can see Rose being this card because she really follows her heart. She knows right from wrong more than all the rest of the girls. But I do agree with you, Rosemary, about Dorothy could also be here as well, since she's in the sword suit.
Obviously,
do.
Rose would have a more balanced approach than Dorothy, I think, when it came to justice.
Dorothy is more of a, Queen of Swords. But Rose does really have, she's allergic to any sort of dishonesty. And she's honest, but in a very soft way. So she kind of tempers it with mercy.
Yeah.
And she is the one who, remember when she had that teddy bear and it accidentally got sold in the garage sale, and then she kicked that little girl out of the door? Because it was just, the girl was not being fair. And so Rose
right.
Let her have it.
Such a good episode.
You can only be nice to a point, and then you have to serve up justice.
Yeah.
Right. Now the Hanged Man, I can get behind. Stan with his little toupee hanging off. I love it.
That was a nice little touch.
Yeah, that was a nice touch. He was all about that toupee.
There's also this a little bit of an idea to me. Stan kind of saw himself as a victim, I think, a lot of times. And sometimes that's a feeling that you get with this card, is of being the victim, being sacrificed by someone else, so to speak. So, but that toupee really does it.
Yes.
It's just the finishing touch.
Yeah.
But I do like this feeling of Stan is kind of stuck a little bit, because he really made this bad choice and hurt a lot of people and thought he was just going to go riding off into the sunset with Chrissy. And then didn't she dump him? And in the end, he really had to, he really couldn't move forward with his life. He was always trying to go back to Dorothy and go back to what he had, because he realized it wasn't so bad. And it's like he's going to stay here until he really figures himself out.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite hangmans just because of his story and how it applies to the card. But that toupee really puts a little extra touch on it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
And then we have the death card.
Gorgeous.
Dorothy. I like the little Hamlet touch, since Dorothy was an English teacher.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I actually can see maybe all of the girls in the death card, but I can see why Dorothy has taken priority over that. But I just love the death card in general.
Well, there's a little bit of a severity about her. I think that's why some of us associated her with the Queen of Swords. And the fact that she was an English teacher and holding the skull would make perfect sense, from that Hamlet perspective, was really cool. So.
Yeah, she is the one, though, because even though, and you're right, all the girls could have really been the death card, because they all went through these, changes and had to remake themselves. But she's the only one who divorced, and the other two girls were widowed.
Right.
And so she, I think she was the one who was betrayed, though. So she had to really do a lot of struggling to kind of get past this and start fresh without being bitter about everything, which she kind of was for a while. But
that's a good point. I like that.
And, she actually was the only one who went on to change things. So, she went from living with the girls to, at the end of the series, she moved on, to a new relationship, a new state, and everything. So there was a transformation to her. Whereas the others went on to do a failed sitcom together.
Oh. It was pretty good, though, but not as...
I enjoyed it, but then I like almost any television because it's better than doing nothing. But a lot of effort goes into making bad television.
Yeah.
As much as making good television, in my opinion. But
So the next one, we have Temperance, and Rose is the balance act here. I can see that. Um, Again, going back to the Justice card, she knows right from wrong, and then the Temperance is about mixing the balance to make a harmony in your life. Um, Maybe I could have seen another girl. I'm trying to figure out on the top of my head. Maybe um,
I don't know. I think she was probably the only one who never really like was short with people, like
right.
made snide remarks about them like the others do. I mean, that was kind of the trademark of the others. I mean, whether it was Sophia with Blanche, or it was Dorothy with Rose, or Blanche,
Mm-hmm.
or even Blanche with Rose. Talking about her as a twit.
Yeah,
You didn't get that from Rose much.
she had this connection with her. Like, she always had this, back in St. Olaf, she always had something that happened in St. Olaf that related to, at least in her mind, to whatever the situation was around the kitchen table.
Mm-hmm.
But she had this way of kind of stumbling like the fool into these experiences, and then somehow she would make it so that it all worked out. Like, she'd have a big problem with her job, but then somehow it ended up being the most spectacular thing ever. It was almost just magical that she kind of combined all of these ingredients and success popped out.
Yeah.
Is that a hospital in the background? I can't tell. There's some building in the background.
It could be, or it could be maybe like a hotel.
Didn't she volunteer at a hospital or no?
Yeah, I think she did at a hospital. So it could be a hospital.
Or she was
the next card is
an administrator position or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think she did at one point. Mm-hmm. The next card is probably one of my favorite versions of this card.
Oh yeah.
To me, this is a reminder that the devil is not always a bad thing.
Right.
This gives you the idea that indulgence is sometimes something you can enjoy. You just don't want to overdo it. I just love everything about this card. The red, and that it's Blanche, and the cheesecake is there, and yeah, I think this is gorgeous. My favorite card from this deck, and probably my favorite devil card.
Ooh.
Yeah, she's naughty and she loves every minute of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like this devil card because, like Rosemary said, the devil card doesn't have to be seen as in a bad way, but this is there's a little sweetness there. You just can't overdo it, or otherwise you'll get like a toothache.
Right.
You do lose that aspect of someone else being in control that you get with devil normally. Of the kind of puppet tree that's going on in most cards. But I do love this idea.
Yeah, she just is a glutton, for she's just Blanche. She's awesome.
Yeah.
And she does not apologize for anything. But like you said, there is a possibility of overindulgence, but really Blanche a lot of the times was all talk.
Yeah.
She couldn't have had that many boyfriends.
Yeah.
Or could she? Who knows? Hey, Kristen. Welcome. Yeah, and it's a lighthearted devil, so I really like that you can laugh at it, and she just likes to feel good. She's into the physical realm.
Exactly.
Isn't she Pentacles?
She is.
Mm-hmm. The next card is my favorite in the whole deck, and that is Shady Pines as the tower.
Definitely
that's perfect.
Yeah.
Shady Pines burning down was this tower moment where it was devastating, but then that's how Sophia came to live with them. And that's why it was, such a good mix, the four of them. And if that hadn't have happened, it wouldn't have pushed them into that next phase.
Exactly.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, that's just such a perfect card. The next one is the Star.
Yeah, I had to think about this one a minute, but the idea of making the star, the moon, and the sun, the three girls, I think this made sense because this card tends to be associated with sensuality. And that was like a big part of Blanche's whole persona, right?
Yeah, and she tends to go big and go for what she wants, and she just, whatever her wish is, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, like going back to Rosemary said they had to choose between the three girls. And originally I thought maybe Rose, but then Rose would be the perfect card that's coming up soon. So Blanche would be the top priority in the Star card.
And it is Blanche's house that they live in, that, you know, her husband, she lived in with her husband. And so she's the one who posted the advertisement for roommates. And I always associate the Star with making wishes and putting it out there to the universe what you want. And she definitely puts it out there.
Another way of looking at it too is, you know, as you were talking about her house, is that, you know, she's provided the place for healing for them, because I think all of them in some way found healing through their relationships together. So I do like her as the Star the more and more I think about it.
And so the moon is Dorothy. And it's not too much of a shadowy moon card like we see a lot of times.
Yeah.
It reminds me of a Hollywood Broadway show kind of moon.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a beautiful card. Dorothy even looks really good in this card.
Yeah. So Gerald has an answer for us. The Friends Wheel of Fortune has the same basic wheel, but it is surrounded by different versions of the Sword Cup and Anubis.
Huh. Thanks, Gerald. Thanks for your research. Yeah, it looks generic for both of them.
Yeah. And that's why I wish there was a guidebook to go with the Golden Girls Tarot. But this
Tell
is
us your thoughts.
That it does not have one.
Yeah, it would have been great to have one.
So the next card is one of those perfect choices, and that is Rose as happiness, the sun. She has such an annoyingly sunny disposition.
Yes. She's one of those people like will say good morning to you when you haven't had your coffee yet.
Yeah.
You know, speaking of annoying, that geometric design just bugs me on her sweatshirt.
Oh.
I know it's like period relative, but still, I don't know. It just bugs me. I don't recall her ever wearing anything remotely like that, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, she had like a sweater with like a bear on it or something. That would have been really good for this. But I don't think she's ever worn anything like that.
Yeah, she was. I'm very much a Dorothy before my coffee, so it's like, what? Get out of here with that good morning stuff. But she could take anything and make it happy and, you know.
Yeah.
Yes, Rose as the sun is absolutely perfection. You can't pick anyone else as that. That's just a no-brainer. The moon can be about facing your shit, and Dorothy likes people to face their shit. Yes, and she has faced her own. She especially likes to throw Stan's shit in his face, right? I think Dorothy is not afraid of facing those dark places in herself or in other people.
Yeah.
She's the one who will really stand up to that.
I can see that. She's such a strong character.
Yeah. And then we have the other card with Sophia as the angel, Judgment. And it's interesting that Dorothy's not in this card, but at the end of the show, they're the three that were left together, who decided to stay together when Dorothy got married and moved on.
It's interesting also because, Dorothy and Stan were in the lovers with her as kind of their guiding angel, trying to guide them through staying separated, as it were. But here she's also was a guide for the other girls. And so I kind of feel like those two cards kind of go together simply because she was the angel. She was the one, providing some direction and wisdom from her age to the others.
Yeah. And at the end, they all, when Dorothy left and she kind of had a hard time leaving, but she moved on to, they all knew that they needed to move on to the next phase. And this is, they all made this choice. Why don't we just stay together? Sophia, you don't have to go live anywhere else. You can just stay with us. And so they made this conscious choice to stay together because they feel like Sophia's their mom too.
Yeah, and going back to like Amy said, like with these were the final three girls. Like before this live, I didn't think of that with this card. So like it has a different meaning to me now. So I really appreciate that. But yeah, they're like the three final girls after Dorothy leaves, and then of course Sophia is like their angel because she's always the one that helps them and gives them wisdom through her own experiences.
And Kristen says, picture it, Sicily, 1932. And I really liked this last card. First of all, I liked the sack dress that Dorothy is famous for.
Yeah.
I think this is why she wasn't in the judgment card because, this is the completion, the process. To me, it's full circle, where she was at the beginning of the show versus where she was at the end of the show, coming out of a bad relationship and being totally devastated and betrayed and now embracing love again at the end of it. So.
Yeah, I really like her as the world card. And plus she's holding the world. She's fulfilled her dreams, her goals. Yeah, I just love it.
I just noticed they use little palm plants in the wreath around her.
And the hibiscus flower.
So Miami.
Gotta keep it Miami.
Right, the shoulder pads, Kristen. Yeah,
the shoulder pads.
It was the 80s.
Yeah. Well, the majors, I think, except for the Wheel of Fortune, were perfection, and I'm so glad that they kept that going through the whole deck. So it did not disappoint. So if you don't have the Golden Girls Tarot, you need it. It's a need.
Yes.
If you love the Golden Girls, I think this is a great way to incorporate the Golden Girls into your life a little bit.
Exactly.
So thank you, Jason, for sending me this deck, because it's
Of course.
I don't know if I even knew it existed. Maybe I did before you sent it to me, but it was so much fun to look at, and I love it.
Good. I'm happy to hear that.
So do you guys find when you read it that it's difficult to separate the characters from the cards? Because I know Sylvain was saying that in one of his videos that he loves the show, but like all he can see is Rose and not. And
I think that for me, it just adds to the reading, because any deck I get that I work with, my first thought is, okay, which card is this? Okay, this is the Fool. Okay, for me, this is how I understand the Fool in the context of this question. So, and then I look at the imagery, right? And so I think that's where it comes into play when I'm doing the intuitive part and looking at the imagery in the cards, that I begin to see the characters. Think about, okay, what episode was this in, and what do I know about this character, and how does that relate to everything else that I'm looking at right now in the spread?
Yeah, I feel the same way. And I also feel like this deck gives very optimistic readings. You can't have bad news totally with this deck. It's always gonna tell you that everything's going to be okay in the end, even if it's difficult right now.
Yeah.
Which is
I
another
suppose. I did get a lot of negative cards this week in our week ahead spread. I mean, I had the 5 of Wands, the 7 of Swords. I had the 5 of Cups. So it wasn't all positive. But then when you look at the cards and you think about the characters and everything that's going on, you do tend to see like, okay, what's the best possible outcome of this scenario?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like eventually things will change. Yeah. Which is another reason why I'm kind of bitter about the Wheel of Fortune, because I think that is such a theme of this show, is that everything is going to be okay in the end because you have your friends around you and you have your support system around you, and they help you through anything. And then it was kind of this blank card.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But.
And thank you for the subscriptions, Hero Stash.
Yes, and Rosemary is making her own deck, and every Sunday, I think at 1, right?
Right.
It just dings on my phone. She goes through a card and basically does the guidebook page that you would want to every card. So she goes through all of the colors and the symbols that she chose and why she chose everything. And so I'm really enjoying that series, Rosemary.
Well, I'm glad you're liking it. I hope that people will enjoy it along the way. It's been fun to finally go through and actually study each card individually and create the images that I'm looking for the deck. I do keep calling this a mock-up because in my mind, I really would like this illustrated. I just don't know if my skills are going to get there before I run out of time, or if I'm going to get the funds to hire someone else to illustrate it. But at least I'll have the imagery in my head finally for all 78 cards. There's some that I've had in my mind for years.
So you wouldn't put it out as is?
Well, my intention is when I'm done to print it, I'll make playing cards and play with it a little bit. And probably will print 4 or 5 copies to send to people so that they can give me their feedback, at least on the imagery, before I decide whether I'm going to recolor it and illustrate it further. Right now I'm using Creative Commons imagery. And I do have a playlist on YouTube. It's 78 cards in 78 weeks is the project. And I'm also posting about it on Instagram and Facebook. I actually started a Facebook group hoping to get some conversation going about it. But I think so far I only have about 2 people in that group. So hopefully it'll grow as the project grows.
What's the deck called, Rosemary?
So the deck will probably be called Good Journeys Tarot. But the project that how I'm tagging it is 78 cards in 78 weeks.
Okay.
So that's how it shows up on YouTube and Instagram.
You have to check that out.
Yeah. So that'll be happening Sundays at 1. And then on Wednesday, I'll be starting Papa Squirrel's project.
Is that Wednesday already? Okay.
Yeah, it's Vlogmas starts the 1st. And so I think I've decided I'm going to do it a week at a time rather than try to post a 1.5-minute video every day for a single card prompt, so.
Yeah, I'm going to combine some, and I'm sure a lot of the deck prompts I might skip because there are only so many times you can say Robin Wood, and then,
Yeah, I wasn't very creative. Tarot Stash. The group is called Good Journeys into Tarot.
That's a good name, though.
Yeah, I literally just hand wrote over the name of my business page to create the banner for it. So.
Jason, are you doing Vlogmas?
I am. I can't believe it's next week. I was trying to get the videos done ahead of time, so I still have a couple more days, but I'm gonna try to do some on YouTube and some on Instagram.
Okay.
So it's like a hybrid kind of Vlogmas, but I'm excited to do it.
I don't understand videos on Instagram because you just upload a video, or do you have to do something special?
You can do one of two things. You can either go live and do a video, which is something I'm considering for December instead of my weekly spreads, is doing a daily card pull, maybe even doing the Vlogmas tags. But you can also just upload a video that you've created. So and I do a little bit of both because I'm trying to get people's attention any way I can, right?
Yes, I know. I hear you. Okay. Well, I know Jason has another engagement. Hopefully it's a yummy post-Thanksgiving meal or something. But I've really enjoyed this, and I hope we can have one of you guys do another
a minor suit
on your channel soon, because I'm loving this deck. And if you don't have the Golden Girls Tarot, you got to get it. You just got to get it.
Yes.
You can reset it while you're watching the Golden Girls. How much fun is that?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good way to de-stress, decompress, and get some pot. If you're too much of a Dorothy like me, you need a little Rose in your life. That really helps zhuzhes up my attitude when I watch the Golden Girls. Well, thank everyone who's watching this from the future and who's here now in the chat. And we will see you next time when we want to get together around the kitchen table or on the lanai and chat about the Golden Girls. Bye, everyone.
Thanks for being a friend.
Thanks for
Bye.